was speaking at the same demonstration that I was speaking at, and a police officer heard what he had to say, and the police officer was offended. Because the police officer was offended, this next speaker was prosecuted, and I came along to the court in Manchester to support him. And the most striking thing I remember from that day is when we spoke to the judge, well, when John, our next speaker, spoke to the judge and said, "Your Honour, I believe I'm doing what I'm doing for a just cause, and part of that cause is to do with Islam," because he'd spoken about Islam. And the judge refused to countenance anything other than the fact that Islam was a religion of peace. He wouldn't listen to any other argument. And that's what we're up against, ladies and gentlemen. We're up against people in the establishment who, at the moment, do not want to hear our side of the story. But it's our job, through great speakers like Paul, through great leaders like Paul Golding, to make them listen, to make them understand that we as the British people are not going to lie down quietly. So I shall now introduce my next speaker without any further ado. His name is John Banks.
Go on, Banksy.
I actually remembered my speech today, so I'll do something new from last time. Now, after 10 years of a Tory government, last year 350,000 immigrants, non-European immigrants, came into this country. And as Paul stated, we have all got a great fear of who these people are.
Yeah.
Yet 50% of the tourists think that Islam is a threat to this nation. I am acting to try and awaken this Tory party before the country becomes balkanised and we have to look after our own little cantons against whatever we face in front of us. There's an organisation or a group of people called Gripers. Where the hell they got that name from, I don't know. But they're phoning up radio stations and bringing up some such subjects as race realism and the forced migration, the big replacement, and get the media, trap them into live broadcasting our issues, so they've got no choice but the programme is heard. Question Time, there was a big moment a couple of weeks ago with that lady in Question Time. Now, I went on one of them shows about 6 years ago, a bit earlier, I neshed it, but it's not hard. You email them, you fill the form in, you either get accepted or not, you turn up, everybody sits in a room, you have a cup of coffee, you write your question down, then you go into the auditorium and there's an hour-long question and answer session before the programme is filmed. And while that's happening, people are talking and putting their hands up, and it's just like Question Time. And you can imagine the compere is watching who is coming up with good ideas. So that, at the beginning, in the first half, that's when you talk. You don't necessarily have to own the question, just interrupt. If you've done a good part of the first half, when your hand goes up, they will point to you. And then you come up with your point, whether it's Islam, whether it's the grooming gangs, whatever the subject you wish to pick up is. And I would say that lady was bang on right, shut the borders completely. Yeah, we've had enough of immigration completely. Yes. If we need tradesmen, we can train our own people. Yes. Yeah. Now then, why do we stop? Yeah, well, that's it. Right, we need to draw everybody into this debate. As you can see, you need to do politics at every opportunity. Enjoy Brexit, taste the freedom, Trump 2020. I've got some t-shirts, what's this one? This one's already been worn in church a couple of times. Don't tread on me. Oh, no. That raised a few eyebrows. This is getting worn in church when the summer comes along. And so is this, because my vicar is a proper...
Yeah. Go on, John.
Draw them into the argument. Draw them in.
That's jailable.
Yeah.
Hate speech.
Yeah. Well, talking about hate speech,
You
if
racist.
you draw people into the argument, I was prosecuted for holding this banner up in
He
church.
did as well.
I tested this in church. Like that.
He did. Mad as well, a former Muhammad was a rapist, a child abuser, a slave, a life beater. He got.
I feel like you're holding back, John.
I went partly nothing but laugh,
I
man.
did not get prosecuted about my banner. I got prosecuted for interrupting a church service. Then I finished. So I got found not guilty.
Yeah, man. SO15 coming
That is
everywhere.
proof that the state is scared of Islam.
Yeah.
They knew this was true, and yet they wouldn't prosecute me over it. The banner is not illegal. This leaflet that I handed out to you folks is
Borderline illegal, the copper told me.
nonetheless, I've got it in an evidence bag,
Yeah, I know.
so it isn't prosecutable. So if you want to ruddy copy it, be my guest. My favourite way of distributing this leaflet.
Excuse me, can you explain evidence back? I don't understand that.
It's the police have put it in an evidence bag, checked it and sealed it. I've still got the sealed evidence bag when it was returned to me. So I got arrested at Dewsbury on another thing. I got arrested all the
Setting fire to the Quran, wasn't it?
Fold it in half, in Asda, put it in a book. Put it in a magazine, put it in a bridal.
Windscreen wiper.
Oh, the door handle, they can't knock it on the floor, yeah? Put it in places where people read, yeah? People who don't read, just throw them away, so you'll end up just wasting your time. You can get done for littering. My latest effort is a letter. Now, there's going to be comments in here that if you don't understand them, watch the YouTube clip back and Google it and learn it. Because this went to the Right Honourable Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Right Honourable Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, Aung San Suu Kyi, Prime Minister Viktor Orban, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Prime Minister Boris Johnson and President Trump, who recently visited and met with Narendra Modi. So, this is the letter. Don't forget, if you're writing a letter, a picture does paint 1,000 words. On here is a film that's on Vimeo. It is not one way. Yours truly is in it. Me, a Muslim counsellor, and an Antifa had a Sunday dinner and an argument, and he followed us around on a few demos. The counsellor is currently, he didn't report a terrorist to his family, and he currently faces 24 harassment charges in Sunderland. Ooh. Right? We've got trial dates.
Yeah.
Now, this letter is the end of my rant, so we'll go on. I'm so jealous of being able to do it without notes, Paul. I really am. You are a bright man. It took me a few days weeks to plait it together. Dear whoever, capitalism controlled by English common law is lifting humanity from its historically universal grinding poverty. It is offering a future previously undreamt of, and yet it is under attack from Sharia law, international socialism, and China pushing their own law systems. These laws have infiltrated our politics, universities, media, financial, legal, and communication systems, brackets Huawei. The truth is not hate. Global social media, used freely, would expose these errors in socialism, Sharia, even Napoleonic Code, and our own. Free speech is essential to progress. We must save free speech. At any time, any free speech demonstration, please attend. Today, our civilization draws breath, wondering what the next clash will be. A pivotal essay of about 30 years ago was The Clash of Civilizations, so I draw that article in. Humanity rightly recoils in horror from the Al-Aqsa condone organisations such as ISIS, Libyan slave markets, innumerable terror attacks, even the Hudaybiyah-compliant Iranian nuclear treaty. If Islam is the religion of peace, where is the peace?
Yeah.
If Dipu claims it is not one, he claims in the movie that Muslims continue to follow the example of the mass-murdering gangster Muhammad and his law, the Sharia, combined with the violent, toxic, open borders, woke, Islo-Marxist Fabian swamp, enabling the Sharia and enabling the historically genocidal Islamic doctrine of hijrah, emigration. Our civilizations and laws now face an existential threat from Islam. President Sisi has asked Al-Aqsa, which is the main mosque in Egypt, to open the gates of Ijtihad, the gates of learning. And Imam Tawhidi, the Imam of Peace, is campaigning for Islam to use peaceful collections of hadith. All our media should be used in support of these efforts. Many Muslims are not aware it is Islam and Sharia that causes many of their problems. However, until Sharia becomes compliant with the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, the Cairo Declaration should be accepted for what it is, a global schism. May I just ask, does anybody know what the Cairo Declaration is?
Open borders.
It's Islam's response to the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, and it states in the Cairo Declaration that all human rights must be viewed through the Sharia. And as such, there are no human rights. The Cairo Declaration should be accepted for what it is, a global schism, a certified resignation from the United Nations. If you can't stand up for the human rights, there shouldn't be in the UN, and that is it. Get out. Sharia law, despite 14 centuries of encouragement and resistance, continues its quest for global domination. The Quran's brutality has destroyed Christianity in its birthplace, annihilated Buddhism in Afghanistan, Hinduism in Pakistan and Bangladesh. Even if individual Muslims are fine people, the Sharia is toxic to English common law, and therefore to the West, the Commonwealth and humanity. To survive we must, as the Calcutta petition evidences, discriminate against Islam and the Sharia. Unreformed Islam and the Sharia should be redesignated as a political movement or a gang, not a religion. And the Sharia should be made illegal globally, as we did slavery. Britain must retain control and command of its military, including both aircraft carriers remaining in service, while renewing and strengthening links with the Commonwealth to defend, improve and spread the best system to enhance the lot of humanity, which is English common law. Now, to this end, in here there's a quote from Churchill and a quote from Boris, who said that he believed it's only natural for the public to be scared of Islam. To any non-Muslim reader of the Quran, Islamophobia, fear of Islam, seems a natural reaction, and indeed exactly what the text is intended to provoke. He wrote, "Judge purely on its scripture, to say nothing of what is preached in the mosques. It is the most viciously sectarian of all religions in its heartlessness towards unbelievers."
Well said, Boris.
Use these words on Question Time. Use the Prime Minister's words. Why are we importing the most viciously sectarian sect into this country? We have enough problems without this.
Yeah.
Now, this might sound like madness, But in 1940, in Britain's darkest hour, Churchill declared that our war aim was Germany's unconditional surrender. And as I said on a police interview that Andy's had a copy of, if he was concerned about the Quran I had on my possession, if I wanted to tear it up, I only want to tear up one Quran, the last one in existence. So, as I said, my aim, and I hope our group, even as things progress down through history, we need to make Sharia law illegal throughout the world.
Yeah.
And I, for one, will spend the rest of my life furthering that cause.
Yay!
By the way, when I sent that letter, I also sent this leaflet. Okay, the one that you've got. Thank you.
Go on, John. That was good.
Thank you very much, John. And as